Hello and welcome back to my channel. As you can tell by the title, today I will be showing you everything that I do to take my pictures for Instagram. So if you would like to see all the in and outs of an Instagram photo, then just keep on watching. Okay, so I already did my makeup, all nice. And it is time to take an Instagram worthy picture. Even though you might see one picture on Instagram, trust me, behind the scenes, we take a lot, and you will see that today. So let me show you the setup that's along the side of the camera, the device that is recording me right now. This is you in the middle and two lights on either side, and I have a long mirror right here. This is very important because we will be using the back camera of a phone to take our photographs. You can of course use a camera, however A, cameras are expensive, B, there are a lot of settings on the camera, whereas on the phone it is a little bit easier, a little bit more beginners friendly, and to be fair, even as a professional, I just find it easier to work with a phone. It doesn't really matter what phone you have. It can be an older model. You will find that the newer versions do have a nicer camera. However, again, it doesn't really matter all that much because you will be using the back camera anyway, and those tend to be pretty good. If your phone isn't over 10 years old, it'll do just fine. The lights that I use are the Neewer ones. I bought them off of Amazon. I will link them down in the description box below. I've had my lights for a year and a half almost, and I'm really happy with them. It's an investment, I understand, and I will be showing you how you can take an Instagram worthy picture with natural lighting as well. So don't worry, if you don't want to spend a lot of money on lights, you don't have to. You don't always have to buy two either. However, it is a lot nicer, a lot more even to distribute light from both directions. For those of you that don't know, I am a bachelor in photography, so this is my passion and I could talk about it for hours. However, I'm going to try and keep it quite concise and not babble on for too long. Going back to the setup, I do have two lights on either side of the camera. They are just a little bit above my head and they are pointing down. This gives you a lift because the light is shining from above and it's slimming me out a little bit. Anything that would light me up from underneath would give me a very dramatic shadow. You don't need two lights, you could just use one. A lot of Instagram photographs are taken with a ring light, which is one light source in the shape of a ring, and you put your camera in the middle of that ring and then it lights you up like that. However, I personally don't like to use one light source. This is because it creates a very direct, a very harsh look to any photographs that you take. If I were to turn this off, hopefully you can see this gives me a lot more shadow. So even though I'm looking straight at the light, the sides of my face are not lit at all. When it comes to makeup, you want to see all of the detail. You don't just want to see the center of your face. You do want to see, you know, all that shading, and that's just going to fade into the darkness when you do take a photograph. That's why I do have two lights. I do recommend LED lights. They are again an investment. They do tend to be a little bit more expensive. However, you don't have to worry about changing light bulbs all the time, and they do not get as warm. Even LED lights get a little bit warm, but if they were light bulbs, actual physical light bulbs, they would get so hot. However, it is not essential to have studio setting, studio lighting to take a good picture. That's probably enough about the lights. You don't need a lot, you just need a lot of light source. So you want white light, nothing like just your regular lamp at home. You can use those to take a photograph, to light a photograph, however it will give you a very warm effect. Let me show you what that looks like. These lamps actually have two LED rows. One is a white light and one is a yellow light. And I always film on a full brightness on the white lights. If I were to film with a yellow one, hopefully you can see how much of a tinge this gives. When you do use white light, it will give you a better look. It will also not change the colour that you are using on your face, so for your makeup. Okay, we have our light source. I'm just going to brush through my hair. You want your piercings the way you want them in the final photograph. So if there's any twisting, I actually feel a little bit oily in the T-zone, so I'm going to take a little bit of powder. Once you're happy with the makeup, pick up your phone, and I just use my phone. I have the Samsung S10. It doesn't matter what model you have, a Sony, it can be an iPhone, it can be whatever you want it to be. So there's a couple of things that you need to do with your phone, with your camera, setting wise, to get the best picture possible. My first suggestion is to take any filters off, because you can always add them but you can't take them away. So if your skin is too blurred, you can't put that texture back in. Always take the best quality picture that you can, and you can always modify it in post-production. So I'm just going to check. I don't have any filters on. Don't use flash. I could get into telling you why you shouldn't. No point. I always work on a pro mode, or it could be called a manual mode on your phone. If you don't have it, don't worry about it. However, if you do choose to work on a professional mode, manual mode, you need to know these things. ISO, the lower the better. If you go above 500, it gives you a grainy effect. I work on ISO 100. That's a perfect amount of sensitivity. This is quite a pro knowledge, so don't worry about it, but this is the right amount of sensitivity, the amount of light that I have. Let's begin. I'm going to take my top, and I'm going to clean my back camera, because you don't want any fingerprints. And then the reason why I do have a mirror there is because I'm able to see a reflection of what's on my phone. Get a pose, fluff the hair up when it needs to be fluffed. I always like to get a higher angle, so I hold my hand up, tilt the phone forwards so the camera is facing lower down. It slims you out a little bit. I take 3 pictures. I find where the button is on my camera. I hold the pose, I look straight at the camera, I look away, and I look down. I hold the pose, I just move my eyes. So I do take about 4 to 5 pictures per pose. It's very important, because you might like the pose but you can't see yourself clearly in a reflection, so it could be blurry. That's why it's important to take more than just one picture. And don't go like this. Don't take a picture and look straight away. I'm gonna try and create that pose again, but you'll never take the same angle twice. You can take a similar one but not the same one. So I'm going to take the same picture but close my mouth. But as you can probably see, it's nowhere near the same picture. I thought I held the pose similarly, I thought the distance was the same, but my hair looks awful in the second one. A good way to solve that is to get into a habit of taking too many pictures. Now let's show you how to take a close-up picture of just your eyes. This will be a little freaky, and you might look at yourself in the picture and be like, ew, I really look like that? But trust me, it makes sense. Again, don't worry, everything that you don't like about a picture, well, not everything, but a lot can be changed in post-production, which is the editing portion. So what I'm going to do is look at my face in the reflection of my phone. I'm going to get pretty close, as you can see, both on the camera and my face right now. I don't look good. This is not a good angle, but we will crop it. Always look surprised, because it will open up the lid. You're going to have to figure out a couple of spots of where you look at when you take a picture. So I've got my pose, I've got the angle that I want, and then look straight ahead, look down a little bit, even further. I think I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, so what if you don't have studio lighting? Well, you can always take pictures of your makeup in natural light. Everything is pretty much the same. Everything applies. All you need to do is find a spot close to a window, maybe an area that is well lit, and simply apply the same technique. Take your phone, take a couple of pictures. Remember to hold that pose and move your eyes about. I always find that's the best trick. And that's the photo taking process done. So I didn't take a lot of pictures. It might seem like there's a lot, but I actually took 24, whereas on a regular day I usually take about 100 pictures per look. I know. And now let's move on to the editing portion. So what I do is open up my gallery, I go into my camera album and I pick out the best picture. I actually like the smiling one the best, I think. So what I'm gonna do is open that up in Facetune. I did buy Facetune because I thought it was an investment. You don't have to, however, it does have a lot of features that I enjoy using. So what we're going to do is zoom in, and I can immediately see some of the spots that I want to patch. And I highly recommend patching some of your spots first. I always find that people overuse a blurring tool rather than just fixing the imperfections they have with something like the patch tool. And this is available on Photoshop as well. If you have Photoshop, you can use I think it's called a stamping tool on Photoshop actually. So I'm patching all of the spots that I find give me too much texture. They draw attention. It is always good to press on that blue thing which shows you the original, so you can see if the changes that you've made are not too obvious. So what I like to do next is take the details tool. I give more texture to my brows with this. I also go on top of my eyes very gently, so just one quick swipe. I always give more detail to my nose ring, any earrings that I might be wearing, and then I zoom in onto my iris. I give it more detail there as well, a little bit of texture. It will bring out the various different colors in your eyes, but don't overuse it. Don't overuse any of these tools, to be fair, because it then becomes very obvious. Probably one of my favorite tools in this app is the tones tool, which essentially is like a magic wand. For example, I like to use this to darken my lash line. So if lashes don't fade in to my makeup as nicely, I simply take this tool and fade my lashes in. It makes a subtle difference, but to me it makes a massive difference. Smoothing tool. I do have a lot of texture, however I like that texture. Makes the skin look real. Yes, it's not perfect, but I like it, so I do keep it a lot of the time. If you want to take away some of that texture, a good way to use the smoothing tool is not to really go like edge to edge, like start from your hairline all the way around your jaw. Don't do that. It'll be overdone. Use the smoothing tool sparingly. There is a learning curve with this. I overused a smoothing tool. I even used the smoother tool, and Not proud of it. It doesn't look good. It looks overdone. When you look at pictures like that, you start questioning your own eyes. Use the smoothing tool sparingly. Again, a good way to do this is to smooth out your skin a little bit and then make the use of that button in the corner that shows you the original photo. You can see that I added a little bit of smoothness to my cheek there, but I feel like it's a little overdone, so I'm actually going to take the eraser tool and take that back. That looks a little bit more okay and still somewhat natural. Another common thing to do is to take the tones tool and add highlight. So I'm going to re-intensify my highlight in on my nose, on my inner corners. Again, I'm using like the tiniest dabs. Oops. That was a happy mistake actually, because every single tool on the Facetune app has the help button, which will actually tell you what the individual buttons do. I think I'm happy with that. I'm going to save my picture, and now it's time to really crop the picture and finalize the actual image rather than the makeup, the skin. I like to use PixArt. That's the app that I use to edit my pictures on. Freshly face-tuned picture, and I'm gonna crop it, including some of my shoulder there, so it's not just my face. Pretty happy with that. Then I click into tools and adjust, and this is where the most work will happen. I click on clarity, which will give you more texture, and you do want some texture. It'll give you a lot of texture into your hair, and I'm noticing you can really clearly see my grey hair there and maybe a flaky. We will fix that. Saturation, I do like to give a little bit of saturation to my, you know, pump it up, a little bit of juice there. This picture is quite nice, the colour scheme is quite nice, but I'm just going to give my skin a little bit more warmth. So I'm not going a lot, I'm not, you know, making myself look orange. Let's go for 15, because I then take the temp setting and take that down to about 5. The background is nice and grey. It looks a little bit more balanced. The dry skin and the grey hair. This app also has a patch tool, but it's under a clone name. This is a little bit more obvious. It's not as sneaky and subtle as the Facetune one is. This one, quite literally, you have to pick out one area of the image and then use a brush to brush the same pattern, the same area somewhere else. Let's pick out one area and then let's get rid of that grey hair. There we go. Okay, pretty happy with that. Let's save it and done. How about the zoom in picture? Here is where the magic happens. You crop all of this out. I'm just cropping it and giving it a good angle. I save this, but you can't post a picture like that. That's not the right size. So what you want to do is click on the collage and the grids. You want to pick out your picture, click on it twice so it selects it twice. I always get rid of the border, but you are welcome to add it if you want. I flip the second picture. I make sure my brows are visible, and then I simply save. And then from there, all you need to do is find your PixArt album, open up your picture, share it on Instagram. So here it is, there we go. This is exactly how I take pictures, how I edit them, and how I make them the best they can be so they are ready for Instagram. Thank you to Menna Ahmed for suggesting this video. I hope you especially, and I hope you all, have enjoyed this video. It was very different, and hope I shed a lot of insight into what it is like to be taking photographs for Instagram. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed that. If you did, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. You are the best. I hope to see you next time.